Moussaka would probably be the most famous Greek dish. It's a baked dish and it's usually made with lamb, but instead of lamb, I'm going to change it up a bit and use some tuna. And I've always got some canned tuna on standby in my cupboard because it makes such a great filling, particularly for dishes like this when you want to change the protein around. Now, to start, we need some potatoes. Now, this is very classic in moussaka. You need potatoes and eggplant, and usually you would deep fry them or shallow fry them. But I find that makes my moussaka a little oily. So I'll need 4 or 5 potatoes. I'm going to bake them so they're going to stay really crisp. And we want to cut them so they're about 1 centimetre thick. So cutting them into rounds. I've also cut 1 large eggplant into 1 centimetre thick slices. So I've preheated my oven also to 180 degrees, and we're going to roast these for about 15 minutes or until the potatoes are golden brown and those eggplant slices are really tender. You want them to be quite soft, and I want that golden colour because it's going to give flavour to this tray bake. All right, we'll pop this on 2 separate trays and make sure that they're not overlapping. And now we'll add some extra virgin olive oil, a generous drizzle over the potatoes, and particularly for our gorgeous eggplant, because eggplant's just like sponges. It really absorbs quite a lot. So on one side, flip them over and then drizzle a little bit more. Now some sea salt. And that's ready to go. So into the oven. Now while they're cooking, we can get onto our sauce. Now in a saute pan, we'll add another good glug of extra virgin olive oil, about 2 to 3 tablespoons, and we'll start frying our onions. So we'll add our onions, just finely chop the onions. And then to this, I'll also add 3 cloves of garlic. We'll just bruise them, just with the back of the knife, and then just roughly chop it. And then that can go in at the same time as our onion. Now, classically in a moussaka, there's the hints of cinnamon and clove, and this is what makes it so distinct. So 2 cinnamon sticks can go in, and now we'll fry this until it's really, really soft. This will take about 3 or 4 minutes. We can also get onto another component of this dish, the white sauce. So into a pot, we'll just put that on a medium heat. I'll add 50 grams of butter, and we'll let that melt. And you need 50 grams of flour. Once that's completely melted, we'll add that to our butter, and then just give that a stir, turn it down so it's not too hot. You want to cook off that flour. If you don't cook off the flour, meaning mix it around, allow it to bubble away, you're going to get that raw flavour of the flour, and we don't want that. So once that's completely mixed in, we can now start adding our milk. Now I've warmed up some milk, 2 cups of whole milk. Slowly add it in. So a small amount, 3 or 4 tablespoons. You'll see that flour instantly start to thicken up again. Add a little more. And I've taken it off the heat to start with, and then once I add the rest of the milk, I'll put it back on the heat so it can start to bubble away. So at the beginning, what you're really trying to do is make sure there are no lumps. A hint more, mixing that through, and then we'll pop it on the heat and then add the rest. Now this is where I transfer over from the spatula to the whisk, and we'll give that a whisk. So again, there's no lumps, so we get a perfect silky smooth bechamel. All right, we'll just take that out and we'll keep an eye on it. Let's go back to these onions. They've caramelized, so now I'll add a pinch of oregano. Dried oregano is perfect for this. Now we'll add some tomatoes, good old canned tomatoes. They work a treat. So 800 grams in. And they're whole peeled tomatoes. So we're going to break them up with the back of our spoon. And then we just want this to cook down for about 10 to 15 minutes until it's really thick. You want to do this before we add our canned tuna. Our canned tuna is already cooked, so essentially we're just warming it up. So this bechamel is thick and rich, just the way I like it. And now we need to add some flavors to it. So a good pinch of salt, and I love the use of ground clove. So a generous pinch of ground clove, and we'll stir that in. Now we need to add some cheese to this. I'm using Kefalo Graviera cheese. It's a Greek style cheese, a sheep's cheese, a hard cheese, which is great for melting. So I'm just going to grate that straight onto a coarse grater. It's got a really nice salty flavour too, so don't add too much salt to the base of the bechamel. Now you want a generous handful of this cheese, and then I'll grate some more on the top. So we'll add that now. And then because this sauce is still warm, it's going to melt into the white sauce. That is just so yummy. All right, we can put that to the side and the rest of the cheese for later. The potatoes are cooked and our eggplants cooked. You can see we've got a beautiful golden colour on them. I've allowed them to cool a little, and now we can finish the sauce. Now the sauce has been cooking for 15 minutes. I've broken it down with the back of a spoon so it's really thick and rich and we don't have any big chunks left in it. And now we can add our tuna. Now I like to use a tuna that's in spring water for this recipe, just so it's not too greasy for the sauce. So in it goes, and just drain it. Fabulous. And then we just want to flake it up, and we'll just add that directly to our sauce. And then just fold it in. All right, we'll take out these cinnamon sticks. They've done their job. They've flavoured the sauce. And now we can start assembling our moussaka. Now I like to start with the potatoes. I'll add a small film of oil, and just with your hands drizzle that around the baking tray just so nothing sticks. And now we'll add half of the potatoes, and we just want them in one single layer on the base of the tray. Now I want 2 layers for this, so make sure you've got enough potatoes. Depending on the size of your potatoes, you may need more than 4. That's perfect. Now we'll add our sauce. Perfect. And then we'll spread that nice and evenly. Now we'll add our eggplant. And I'm not doing layers of the eggplant. I just want one nice thin layer of eggplant in the centre. We'll spread that out. And now we'll add the rest of the potatoes, again in one single layer over the top. Just scatter them so they're even. And now for the bechamel, we're just going to pour that over the top. You know, if this is too thin, what will happen is it'll be quite watery, the end result. So make sure you just let that bubble away, constantly whisk it until it's this thick. So get all of that out, and I might get a spatula now just to make life a little easier. Scrape down the sides, and then in it goes. Now spread that over. Don't mix it in too much with the tuna sauce so we get that beautiful white top as it goes into the oven. Now, if that wasn't cheesy enough, I've got some extra cheese to add to the top. Sprinkle it over. Okay, so this can now go into the oven. Again, it's 180 degrees, and this will cook for about 30 to 35 minutes or until it's a nice golden colour on the top. Now my glorious tuna moussaka has come out of the oven. It smells fantastic. It's really crispy on the top. And before you eat this, make sure you allow it to rest, just like you were resting a lasagna. Because it's so hot, it'll be really moist in the center, so you just want it to firm up slightly. And now I'm gonna cut into this. Potatoes are cooked. Look at that, nice and cheesy. I'll pop that in the bowl. Scoop out a little more. That right there is so delicious. I'm gonna have a taste of this. That is honestly such a delicious comfort food dish. I love this in the winter. You know what? Tuna is budget friendly and it's a great substitute for lamb, which is in the traditional one. I love this and I hope you'll love it just as much as I do.